to see both sides, honestly, is true freedom. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're all sheep to some degree, where you gotta really put in the work and start peeling layers back to understand, like, your truth. You gotta figure out who you are. You know what I mean? But it's just like, these conversations, and this is my stance with the sheep thing, right? You have the vaccinated, you have the non-vaccinated, you have the masked, you have the no mask. Depending on how much of your time, emotional value, how much of that consumes you, makes you a sheep. Period. What do you do within your day? Because now, mind you, the key word in that is your. So not you, but within your day, how much of this is consumed with the conversation, the debate, the research, you're a sheep, regardless. And that's just my opinion. Do I like certain labels and all that other stuff? Not at all. Not for 1 minute do I think it's okay, because we all have the right to think for ourselves. And if this is how you think for yourself and everybody else is doing it, whatever. But it's a sense of freedom. Like, in my opinion, like, what kind of freedom do you have if all this stuff is being thrown at you and you don't talk about, like, sports, dating anybody? Like, where's your life? Where's your sense of living? But maybe this is your sense of living.
Yep.
Maybe this is your freedom. You know what I'm saying?
Like,
so I'm not saying anybody's wrong, but like, look at the context in which you're talking. But you have to consider everything. You have to consider the big picture. Like, my example, like, when I first heard about Umar Johnson, I was all about this dude. Like, very informative, very knowledgeable, And then when I was on YouTube and I saw this one video that was said that he was a scam artist.
Yeah,
I didn't want to click on it. Why? I didn't want to click on it because I was emotionally tied to what he was talking about, the knowledge he was sharing, and And it's like, I don't want to look at him in a negative limelight. So here's me having to go up against me. So I clicked on it. And I'm glad I did, because here's the truth. You've been talking about putting the school up for years. All you needed was $2 million, whatever. You wind up getting it. There's no school, blah, blah, blah. So that list goes on. But all I'm saying is, like, for myself, and I struggle with that a lot, because I want to believe certain things. I want to see, and it's a problem of my own where, I'm very optimistic. And I have a tough time taking people for who they are, because I see the better in you and I want the better for you. But when you keep showing this and that, it's like, at some point you got to say, boy, get out of your own way. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we're all guilty of research. And when it comes to research and truth, I mean, how much of it do you really want?
I mean, my thing is this: I'm way too
debates and all that. Like, a lot of people don't realize that they'll take an opinion and force feed it as if it's a fact. It's a fact to you. This opinion or even theory, which neither are facts, are you're so emotional that you can't see outside of that. So now when you're sharing, you're regurgitating somebody else's information. You know what I'm saying? And so sometimes it's like, I get the point, and people will have a tough time listening. And people have a tough time listening to me because I'm a passionate person. So when I'm coming off about something, it's like, bro, take a little bit off. I can hear you. I want to listen to you. But when you're constantly trying to shove something down my throat, it's like, who do you think you are? First of all, it's not even about the message. It's about you. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things there where it's kind of like communication, effective communication is detailed. It's being considerate to who you're talking to and how you want to be heard.
Right, but that's the thing.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't need.
though, this bad area stuff.
Yeah, get your internet fixed. No, but I don't need people to be considerate of me. You know what I'm saying? In terms of like their belief systems or whatever they think or how they feel. I just need people. I don't even need people. I would just like for people to just listen, especially. And so, what's the most difficult is if I gave a person a fact, right? If I give you a fact, and I show you though that factual information, if you don't have the ability to take that factual information and apply it, then that's just you being dumb for the lack of words. Like you can't dispute a fact. Like if you and just taking it back to the original thing we were talking about, if you give me a piece of information, I then come back with this piece of information, and that information is what it is. It's, you know what I mean? Like it's a fact. You can't then say, well, what about this? No, we're not talking about this. Forget all the stuff on the other side. We're not talking about all the stuff on the other side. You know what I mean? We're talking about this. In some points, you have to just concede and say, you know what? You got me. You know what I mean? You got me. And that's a bigger issue. We've gotten away. The word fact has somehow, some way been meshed with opinion. You know what I mean? Now people believe that if I have 1.2 million followers on a platform, right? And I say that if I say something outlandish, you know, ocean water is not salty. There are people in this world who will literally believe that person, not because of their background, not because they're educated, but because they have $1.2 million followers. You know what I mean? Exactly, Evie. It's that whataboutism. Well, what about this? We're not talking about that what about. We're talking about this subject right here. And that absolutely drives me nuts because every conversation, I believe that conversation is key to the human race success. Communication is key, right? Being able to kind of like hear and listen, right? To be able to go out, find information, bring it back, be able to add that information to whatever it is you're doing. I think that is the most important thing in the world, which is why sometimes I do have controversial stuff that I put out there for people to kind of like to bite and to kind of absorb. You know, I do that for a reason because again, we've lost the ability to be able to have like a respectful debate. Because what ended up happens is when you catch a person in a situation, it's no different when people are lying about shit. When you catch a person, it is like Evie said, it's like, well, what about with that time when you did this? Nah, we're not talking about that. We're talking about this right now. But if you'd like to talk about that, we can talk about that afterwards. You know what I'm saying? It's always moving the goalpost, and you never ever come to a resolution. Whenever I'm asked a question, I try my best to answer that question. You know what I'm saying? Before I move on to the next point. A lot of people, there are conversations I've had where I'm like, well, you still haven't answered my original question. You know what I'm saying? And in this particular conversation we were having, I was like, oh shit, this is new. Because I said, hey man, where'd you get those numbers from? And boom, he gave me the information. I was like, wow, this is gonna go great. So me, being who I am, research, baby, not me search. I go and check your shit, and your shit comes back false. And then once you realize it's false, you go and you move the goalposts again. So it's like, no, that's not how this works, bro. Yeah. And it was like, well, Will, put your pride to the side and just blah, blah. It has nothing to do with my pride. Like, I'm presenting you with factual information. My pride does not exist in here. You know what I mean? In this factual context, pride doesn't exist. You need to put aside your pride and just say, okay, you got that one. You know what I mean? And if you want to move on to talk about other things, then I get to choose whether or not I want to engage in that particular conversation. You know what I'm saying? So, but
I mean, there's a lot of times too, like, you know, we want a certain answer the way we want it. We want people to do certain things. Like, it would have been nice if he gave you what you wanted, where it was like, you just want him to admit you were wrong instead of moving the goalposts. You know what I'm saying? So on self, we will get stuck there. Like, you're not giving me what I want. Just admit it. Before we can go ahead and get into that. You know what I'm saying? But I need you to admit this first. So sometimes, a lot of times, like, we have to understand that there's so many different ways we get in our own way, where it's like, and sometimes like you were just saying, where, well, didn't you do this? Didn't you do that? Depending on the context of what you're talking about, that's important. You know what I mean? Because a lot of times, like, somebody stole when I used to wear J's when I was in Kentucky, somebody stole a pair of my Jordans, right? I was pissed. So I talked to my grand sponsor, and I was telling him about it.
Emily.
And he was like, he said, LaVoy, I'm asking you a question. I said, what? He said, did you ever steal
Excellent day.
before?
How was your day?
I said, yeah. And he was like, and I told him, but I haven't stole anything and I don't know how long. He's like, that's not the point. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like you have to take into consideration yourself as an entirety. I never forgot where I come from. Doesn't matter what I've done or
Amazing.
what I've thought. So taking that
What are you doing for your holiday?
while speaking to people about certain things is like, and one thing that I feel like society has lost is love, respect, consideration, sympathy, empathy. I feel like society has lost a shitload of that.
Right.
Everybody, in some sense, is out to protect themselves.
Right. But this is the thing. So go back.
Matter. Other people like just, you know, and it's like now, like what long-term thinking do people have? Everything's like now, gimme. You know what I'm saying? And it's like totally disregard somebody else's position. You don't know we don't know what somebody else has gone through, been through, whatever. But everyone is just so focused on being right.
It's Labor Day today.
Who gives a damn? You know, like what is the point?
Yeah,
and
but
that's where I look at a lot of conversations. Okay, if it's gonna the truth is always beneficial. Look, always beneficial. I get, but much time and like emotional is always is it worth it? You know what I'm saying? A lot of these conversations, it's like a fucking access that's been being played for years now. You know what I'm saying? What is the point? Where's your
right?
I
But
don't know. I just can't tie myself to a lot of things.
right, but to go back to the original thing, I don't need anyone to say anything a certain way. I don't need anyone to kind of to answer my question a certain way. But if you're going to engage in a conversation willingly, then I need you to answer the questions. You know what I'm saying? Like, period. Like, that's just how, if we're having a conversation and I'm offering all this information, I'm giving you, you know, what you asked for, I'm answering your questions, I should be awarded that same respect. You know what I'm saying? Instead of like saying, if I ask you, LaVoy, hey, how was your day today? And then instead of you answering the question, you then go and say, I'm going to go fishing tomorrow. Nah, that's great that you're going to go fishing tomorrow, but I asked you, how was your day today? You know what I mean? That's the bare minimum.
The two key words that you said that was important was should be. You know what I'm saying? I get that. Like, you should respond and give the same effort, energy that I'm giving. If you,
but not even the same. Not the same.
Respond differently. You know what I'm saying? But like when we talk about should and all that other stuff, like we're not gonna get that.
No, but not even the same. See, that's the thing. Like, it's not even the same. But I'm saying something. What's the point of engaging in a conversation if the other person doesn't give anything? You know what I'm saying? They don't have. They're not obligated to give anything. You know what I'm saying? But you chose to engage in this conversation. So therefore, you're saying, I'm going to engage with you. Now, they don't, again, like I said, the point is, I don't expect people to match my level. And when I give an answer, I try to give a thorough answer. You know what I mean? But I don't expect people to match my level and give me the same. I just expect people to kind of, for context, for a flow of the conversation, for just like the basis of having a normal conversation, to add something to the conversation. Like, that's how conversation works. So I don't know. It was just one of those conversations that I thought was ridiculous. I thought that we have people that will support us no matter what we say. You know what I mean? Because in that conversation, like, people jumped in and be like, "Oh, it's crazy how you're just a sheep and you don't see this and blah 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 blah." Like, whatever. Like, you know, that type of stuff is like that. That whole piggyback type stuff drives me absolutely insane. Like, go read the comments. Like, basically, I said your information was wrong. Here's my proof that your information is wrong. All right, if you want to move on to another conversation, then boom, we can do that. You know what I mean? Or if you want to prove me wrong, or if you want to prove that your information, let me change that. Not prove me wrong. If you want to prove that your information is correct, then hey, by all means, go for it. You know what I mean? And that's what it's all about. It's about having a conversation, presenting the information, and adding and don't just subtract from the conversation. Don't just make your shit up as you go along. Don't move the goalpost. Focus on what we're talking about at hand and move forward. That's what it's all about. And that is, no matter what what anyone looks at it, no matter who you are, is the expectation when engaging in a conversation with two people who may have different views. You give me your view, add your supportive arguments, all that good stuff, and I'll do the same. And at the end of the day, we don't have to agree with each other. That's the beauty of having a conversation. We don't have to agree with each other. We can end the conversation and just say, you know what? Agree to disagree. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah, you do it all the time.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was a stupid conversation at the end of the day. And like I said, nothing got solved. And this conversation still went in other branches of discussions about, you know, other crazy shit that I don't even want to go into. But so moving on from that, we're gonna get to Lavoy, L Boogie, Lavu. We're gonna get to this guy. So, and there's some people are still in here watching. I think Troy's still in here. We'll probably get a kick out of this conversation. So, and we'll keep it vague because we don't want to, we're not gonna be using any names or anything like that as we talk about these things, because in protection of you know, like what they say in those TV shows, like, to protect those all involved, you know. So we'll just use like fake names. Yeah, because he could just say something. Me and in case y'all don't know, Lavoy and I talk every fucking day. Excuse my language if my mom is watching. We talk every single day and have multiple conversations throughout the day. So Lavoy, and Lavoy, you can jump in and correct me if I'm wrong at any time. Lavoy struggles with relationships, so to speak. Lavoy struggles with, in fact, I call Lavoy, I call him Eddie Murphy, because all his old heads in here, all his old heads in here watch the movie Boomerang. And in the beginning of that movie, Marcus, who the character that Eddie Murphy plays, he's always dating all kind of girls and stuff like that. And every time he dates a girl, you know, in that movie, for example, there was one girl where she had everything. She was perfect. And then at the end of the night, after they've done the thing and everything, they're sitting there and they're in bed, you know, she's sleeping, whatever. And he pulls back the covers and she has some jacked up feet. So he was like, I can't do it. I'm out. And so I tell Lavoy that all the time, that he reminds me of Marcus, because every single time there's always something that manifests itself, right or wrong, true or false. It might be, sometimes it's true, sometimes it's not. I mean, sometimes, whatever the case may be. So the discussion in this discussion is what it would take to get this youngster to finally plant his roots somewhere without kind of almost, and I'm going to keep it 100. We keep it 100 today. Labor Day, we ain't got to work. We've all got jobs. You know, what my hat say, we're going to be kind today. You know what I'm saying? And I was kind today in that previous conversation. So we trying to figure out, and if anybody in the comment section, I know Troy probably going to add something in there. Add in the comment section what you think. But again, we're trying to figure it out. But we talk about relationships. And again, y'all don't be on here judging me because I'm not perfect. I said this 1,000 times and fucked up a lot. Excuse my language. And my mom's probably listening.
Real quick, I think this should be a separate live. Just my opinion. Because the first one's kind of lengthy, so for people to get to this one, you know what I'm saying? They got to stick it through.
All right, so you want to end this one? You want to end this one and then start over?
Huh?
You want to end this one and then start over?
The next live is just relationship.
I know, that's what I'm saying. You want to end this one and then start a new one.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna finish this one and then I'm gonna log back in. All right. I got 12 likes. I'm a noob. It's all right. Keep working. I don't know if you're still there, but keep working. Add tab in description. Hey, Carly. You might like this one, Carly. Oh, that's not Carly. Kayla.
Uh-huh.
I thought I said Carly, but it said Kayla. My bad, Kayla. How you doing, Kayla? All right. So jump back into it.
Marcus right now?
Yeah. So just to jump back into it, you know, Lavoy and I talk every day about a multitude of different subjects. And just for the record, because I know some of y'all be like, I don't know what Willie Ford on here talking about because he blah, 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 blah. I am not an expert on relationships per se. I merely just call it like, you know, I'm just giving my opinion on relationship type stuff, whatever the case may be. But again, I am not an expert on any of this stuff. You know, I'm just giving an opinion. So, I'll get out of here. So if you missed it in the other one, so Lavoy and I talk every single day, and we're trying to get Lavoy in order because of his relationship adventures, we'll call them. Oh, where is it at? Yeah, 6 minutes ago.
Get me in order.
Get this man in order. Oh, I see this. Oh, so I call Lavoy Marcus because, like I said, in case you haven't noticed, Marcus was a guy from Boomerang, and in the movie Boomerang, Marcus used to date all kind of women, beautiful women and stuff like that. But he'd always find something wrong with each single girl. Like, for example, like I said before, like, you know, the last one, they went out, had a nice day, had a great time, everything was wonderful, and then all of a sudden he pulls back the covers and she had terrible feet, so Marcus was done. You know what I mean? Marcus found something wrong with this particular girl. So that's why I call Avoid Marcus. Because like I said, like, you know, he always seems to find something wrong with the person or with the situation that doesn't allow him to kind of be in that relationship, you know, again or further. So So Lavoy, you take it from here. So what exactly is the issue here? Why do you think it is that you have the struggles that you have when it comes to relationships?
I feel like it's like how well does every relationship I've been in has, they're obviously different women. You know what I mean? Knowledge of self is a major part. A woman's self-respect, how she feels about herself. It's consistency. Because, I've been in those relationships where you are a certain type of person in the beginning. And then, a month, 2 months, now you're somebody who just got totally comfortable and feels like you don't have to, do those same things, where I think it's important, like, that you just be who you are from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of different reasons, and it doesn't take long. Now, some women that I've dated and stuff like that, it turns out that, like, you're better off as friends, because we all have an idea of what we want in a relationship. Sometimes when we meet somebody, we're selfish enough to take that idea and put it on them. So while you're doing that, are you really taking them for who they are, or are you just kind of hanging on and sticking around because now you got the security of a relationship and the things that come with it? But then when you look at who they are, how's that conducive to your own self-respect? You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, I don't know, man. I look at it like relationships are simple, they're not easy, but the motives are everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's kind of like, I'm going to watch you just be yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I'm not in the business of trying to change people. So when I speak on, because I understand compromise, right? There are some things, I'm 41 years old, so there's only so much of me that I can actually change to help us exist in this relationship, this unity. And in turn, like, that's, what it is, what I would ask or expect from them. But then there's certain things that don't change. It's like, okay, again, is it conducive to my self-respect, my happiness, and da-da-da-da? Because I do not want to be in a relationship where it's forced. Or certain things are just forced, and then it's like, okay, then you reach a point where it's like, okay, we've both been faking this entire time. Now look back, and it doesn't take long. It does not take long at all. It's good work for you. It all does hard work. But you peep stuff. It's kind of like, I was once told, and you probably told me before too, like, I'm scared of commitment. I'm definitely not. I'm just not going to commit to.
You are scared of commitment.
Not beneficial to my happiness, my direction in life.
You are. You are afraid of commitment.
Elements.
You are afraid of commitment.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Let me tell you why I say that. I say that because, again, when you're in a relationship, right? You're in there, right? You and the person involved, you're in there, and then you have us people out here who are on the outside, and we're kind of looking in. So I've been in a very fortunate position to be able to witness you in different scenarios and different, situations and stuff like that. In the beginning, and again, we just keeping it 100. In the beginning, you have all these ideas, you have all these things about what you want. You know what I'm saying? Like, we'll give something for example, we'll say something like, "Oh, I just want, them to call me, let me know what's going on, blah 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 blah." But then there have been scenarios where a person has done that, and you'd be like, "Why they keep calling me? I can't take this no more. This is just out of control." You know what I'm saying? So again, that's saying like be careful what you ask for because you just might get it. Sometimes you and we all do this. We feel like we want something, and let's keep it on another level. Sometimes we think we want a certain thing. You know what I mean? And like I said, the grass is always green and all that stuff. And then men in general love to chase. And sometimes we chase things, but once we get what we actually chase, then we don't feel the same way anymore. So I feel like sometimes you ask for these things because they're not attainable in the moment, but once you get them, it's like, oh, whoa, I don't. This is not what I asked for. This is not what I want. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, that makes sense in a general aspect. You know, like under the umbrella or whatever. It makes perfect sense. But in the now I've been in that situation where it was like I saw this specific female, whatever, prayed, and then years later we wind up together, and it turned into hell. So agreeing with what you're saying, like be careful what you ask for. You know what I'm saying? There's a lesson to be learned in everything. So it's kind of like, yeah, you know, when you find someone who's like-minded and like you are, where I look at it like respect, where it's kind of like you leave in the house, so you just keep in touch throughout the day. Like that's just respect. It's normal. You know what I'm saying? Now there's if that situation had happened where the boy asked for that not to visit and about it, there's other issues there. You know what I'm saying? It's not just that one specific issue. You know what I mean? Let's say, drawing a blank. So there has been, plenty of times where it's like, again, like, yeah, you ask for something or you see it for various reasons. You're going to see certain qualities or whatever. So whenever you get into any kind of relationship, it starts and ends with you. Period. Where are you at and why are you with this person the way that you do? Are you missing anything about yourself when you're trying to fill a void, for example? Which I feel like 10 times out of 10, especially today, but it's incorporating. You know what I'm saying? Like, what are the real motives and all that other stuff to why you're getting into this relationship with somebody? You know what I'm saying? No, you're good over there. But yours was freezing for a little bit. Still nothing?
Oh, no, she said, I think it's my connection. Yeah, but like I said, I think that you put a lot of I think you put a lot of demand early on in the situation instead of letting things happen organically. And what tends to happen is you want it when, and like most of us males are, we want it when we want it, how we want it. You know what I'm saying? The whole nine has to be on our terms a lot of the times. And yeah, I noticed you compromise in certain situations and things like that. But again, your length of time of compromise is like this long. So it's like if you say, just gonna keep it vague and stupid. If you say, I want you to wear socks in the house, I only wear socks every day, and the person within that small time frame doesn't wear socks, you're like, you know what? I'm done, can't do this no more. This is not for me. And I think what happens in some of those scenarios is it scares a lot of people, a lot of women that are in those relationships, because they don't know when the next button is gonna get hit and when the next time you're gonna walk out of that situation is gonna be. Because
I mean that makes sense. But one part that I have to say is I am a huge communicator. So one, I'm gonna hold her to the standard or whatever that she presents. So she's again presenting gonna
Hey,
hold
what up,
her to
Rod?
that. And if she starts to kind of back out of that, I'm gonna bring it to the plate. You know what I'm saying? Because it gets to a point. Anybody that now of all relationships that I've ever, had friends, family, girlfriends. If I walk away, I've expressed myself. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, we're talking.
It's a song called Sprung. I'm not sure. I forget the name of who sings it, but it's actually really good.
So there's a lot of discussion. There's a lot of things that are being said. So if I'm really just holding you to your standard now, and you don't live up to it, it may appear that LaVoy is asking for too much. But I'm like, okay, so when they say this, should I not take them that serious? You know what I mean? And I understand giving chances and stuff like that. Why? Because there's been numerous times in so many different ways that I needed chances or I needed time. You know what I'm saying? So I have to consider that. I can't just not give it to them. You know what I mean? Then at the other end, it's like, okay, LaVoy knows who he is and what he wants. So I'm going to put it out there from the beginning. We're not into wasting each other's time. So it may come off as like, wow, it's demanding. But you knew that from the beginning. You know what I'm saying? So at the same time, it's kind of like, now that's the scary part too, is LaVoy is not scared to be vulnerable. So because of that, it's like he's giving out all of this. I'm not expecting you to be me. Because it is scary to just jump out the window like, I don't know what's down there. I get that. I'm willing to work with you, but you got to give me something to work with. And I understand giving things time, and everybody's comfort zones are different. You know what I mean? So I'm willing, but again, it doesn't take long to see who a person really is. Do they even have it in them to want to do that? I hear, and that's the other part, I hear what people say, but along with that is I don't give a shit what anybody has to say. Only because if you base yourself off of intention with less action, what is the point to what you just said? Because you could potentially hurt somebody off of what you intend to do. Oh, I'm going to pick you up, and you never show up. What about them now? You know what I'm saying? So how well is she comfortable in her own skin? What does she really want? Everybody wants the same thing in the beginning. You kidding me? Everybody wants the house, kid, all that crap. I mean, it's been like that since 8th grade. You know what I mean? But who's really willing to compromise? Who's willing to be vulnerable? If you really know who you are, where you're at in life, you have goals, direction, and share it. And there's certain information that you don't give right away. You have to wait. You know what I'm saying? There's certain things that it's kind of like sacrifice.
All right, so hold on. So let's go back. So originally, a few minutes ago, you said something about how do I put this? I'm trying to be vague.
Well, I didn't think about it. I want to comment, and generally speaking, I think it's important to realize both should learn each other and grow together from those conflicts. And you're very right, because there's a certain type of dynamic in you're better off as any have regulations. You know what I'm saying? So there's things that you have to pay attention to. And that's where you got to check yourself and look at, like, am I with this person because of the idea of a relationship? You see what I'm saying? So
that's all.
We're in this for the long haul.
Right. All right. So that's what I was getting at this. So in the beginning, you said something about I'm a communicator. And we've had this talk before. You communicate with people in a certain way. And there's nothing wrong with the way you communicate. And you communicate a lot. Like, you like a lot of communication. But not everybody communicates in the way you do. So therefore, when you meet someone, you guys have to balance each other out. This other person may not be that type of communication. Yeah, I don't know. My screen's fine. That's why I'm looking at it online as well, and you're the one that I think it might be your internet. But you're the one. What was I going now? So yeah, so you both have to balance each other out. You know what I'm saying? So if she's an inward communicator, then that's just who she is. She's never going to be the outward communicator that you are. She's never going to be able to use the same language to communicate. So her communication language might be the way she responds, reacts to you. It may be bringing you some cookies or cooking your dinner or making sure that you're straight in this area. You know what I mean? That might be her way in communicating with you. You have love language. Like your language, you use a lot of your language in order to communicate. Some people use more of their actions. You know what I mean? That's their way to communicate with people. You know, if that makes any sense. So you can't necessarily say, well, you know, this person's not. I need communication and communication. You have to be aware and understand. Well, how does this person that I'm with? How do they communicate? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's the part where it's like, you know, you take them for who they are. You know what I mean? So there's layers, there's dynamics, and da-da-da. So certain things mean more to certain people than other people. You know what I mean? So there's different reasons, and it's not just with me. It's never really just like one specific reason, unless you're not keeping your word. If you're lying to me, if you're showing just a whole bunch of indecisiveness, then it's kind of like we're going to waste each other's time. You know, only because I know what I want. So it's not fair for either one of us. You're indecisive and I'm decisive. So how are we going to do this together? You know what I mean? Where it's kind of like, I understand, okay, give it time, give it time. How much? And that's another line where some people are different. I'm just not willing to invest my time into certain things and almost be selfish enough to say, you know what, you could have been out there doing you. Or other people that, you know, want a shot and being your man or whatever. You know, so there's times where it's like y'all can just be in each other's way and you're holding on to, you're holding on to crap. You know what I'm saying? So meeting her where she is, I don't have a problem with that. And I know that, well, I don't know if you want to say it's the demanding thing or the communication thing or vulnerability. So I'm going to say, like, I'm not wrong for wanting that. So the women maybe I'm looking into or whatever don't have that quality. And I need that. So it's not they're not, you know, wrong for who they are or whatever. There's something about me that keeps attracting this almost same type of women. Now, granted, they all haven't been like the same to a T. There's a lot of similarities, and I'm the common denominator in that. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like to find a woman who's not scared to be vulnerable, communicates the way that I do, stuff like that is, I mean, I guess that would turn me into Marcus because I have been guilty of taking the idea of the relationship that I want and putting it on them. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But you are the common denominator. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you say, in a sense, that maybe the women that I attract don't have this quality, but when you are, maybe you don't have that quality that you say you have. And not to mention, like, you know, relationships are relationships. And I said this earlier. I did a podcast a couple days ago about like saving like damaged relationships and stuff like that. And a part of that podcast was talking about like love. You know what I'm saying? And in love, I talked about how not when you first meet someone, you're not in love with them. You know what I'm saying? You don't have strong feelings for them. But over the course of that period of that relationship, love happens. You start to build and it turns into love. You know what I'm saying? And then what happens is over the course of that relationship, love is lost. You know what I mean? Because we as adults stop doing the things that we did previously in order to make that person fall in love. So, in my opinion, any two people can fall in love. You know what I'm saying? Any two people can fall in love. It's how you maintain it that's important. Because, like I said, like after you've gotten with the person, after you living together, everything's great, and all of a sudden, like, what are you doing to maintain that love? Are you still going to the refrigerator and say, you know what, I'm gonna bring her a glass of water back? Because not because I don't know if she's thirsty or not, but I'm gonna bring her a glass of water. Yeah. Because she needs a glass of water. I'm gonna go make a sandwich. What? You can't hear me? I'm gonna go make a sandwich. I think it's your phone because it's. I think everybody. Hey, Tara, if you're still in here, can you say if you can hear me or not? Okay, I know you. I know you can't hear except for Tara. Yeah, see, we can hear me, but not you for some reason. Like I said, I think your internet's kind of weird. Were you over there texting and doing something over there? Is that why, Mister? You might have to back out and back in and come back in. It's that dial up. So what happens when you have that dial up? Internet service gets shoddy. So yeah, while I wait for him, so basically I did a podcast talking about love and stuff like that. And basically what I said in that podcast is that what happens is when we first meet someone, we don't love them. You know what I mean, we don't have strong feelings for them or anything like that. But what happens is when we get to know someone over the course of that relationship, we start to love each other. And the key to maintain that relationship is doing the same thing as you did to get her to fall in love with you. I know, right, Earl? The same things you got her to fall in love with you, you have to do over the duration of the relationship, or else you fall out of love. So, and like I said before, it's like, you know, if you met her and she fell in love with you, then all of a sudden you were going to the refrigerator, getting her a glass of water, not because she was thirsty, making food and bringing her some food just because, or, when she got home from work, asking her like, how you're doing today, how your day, instead of like talking, just listening to her, and consistency. Like consistency is key. And a lot of us, myself included, I ain't the relationship guru because God knows I messed up a bunch of relationships over the course of my life. But again, it's absolutely about that consistency. Send request. I don't see. Let me add you. It's about that consistency, and like Tara said, it's all about that consistency. And like I said, like after it's all said and done, there you go. It's that dial-up internet. You got that motherfucking, you know, you dial, and somebody else must have been you on the phone, cut you off.
Yeah.
Yes, in consideration.
That landline stuff. Okay, so what? So what we?
No, I was basically talking about love, how to maintain it, like what happens when we lose it. Because like I was telling you before, in my opinion, not a relationship guru, but in my opinion, any two people can love each other. Any two people can maintain it if you put in the work. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, there was a reason why you fell in love with that person. You know what I mean? There was a reason why you fell in love with that person. There was a reason why you met with that person. You decided to have a relationship, blah, blah, blah. The problem that comes along with relationships is that people stop doing what they were doing to get the person to fall in love with them in the first place. And that's how relationships end. That's how relationships are ruined, and so forth and so on. You have to continue to do the same things you did before in the middle and in the end, in order to maintain that type of stuff. And a lot of times we don't even realize that in those situations that we have switched it up, that we have changed. It's only when the relationship is in a negative space that we realize that, oh, something's wrong. Like, why doesn't she care about, why doesn't she love, or why doesn't he care about me, blah, 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 blah. So to me, that's the key to maintain any relationship. Like I said, and if the two people are willing to kind of have that conversation with each other and are willing to do those things for each other, then, and like I said, I don't care what, I know people are gonna get on me for saying this. I don't care what has happened in a relationship, to get you to where you are right now. Any relationship can be saved. Any relationship can be maintained if you decide to put in the work to be able to make it happen. Period.
Like you're saying, if the two people are consistently being who they are from the beginning, there's a lot of things that you just get through because they've been themselves. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like, and we had this conversation earlier too, where how many people, and I think it's dope that the people that are in relationships that are literally best friends, and they're not just saying it because it fits the cliche. You know what I mean? Where I know for myself, looking back in retrospect, there was a lot of relationships I was in that we were friends because, we're together and all that, but were we really like best friends? We operated under the title of being in a relationship. So 10 times out of 10, you just wind up doing what you're supposed to do while you're in a relationship. You know what I mean? But actually being friends makes it work. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be able to be yourself, stick to your guns, and all that other. Don't try to get. A lot of people feel like you have to conform so much in the beginning to keep them around, to work toward the idea of what this relationship would be like, but you're not being yourself. You're not going to be the you that you normally are in 6 months. Because in the beginning, I know for a fact, the honeymoon stage does not have to end. Where do I get this factual information? I look at my grandparents. Rest in peace, grandma, but they've been married for 64 years. You don't see that no more. You know, everybody's definition, experiences, beliefs, and thoughts about love in general are all different. Some distorted, some not distorted. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like there's got to be a common ground when it comes to that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
but you know why you don't see that anymore? You know why you don't see it? Huh? No, not a part of it, but you don't see you don't see those long relationships anymore because we live in a world where we always want something new. Like when the new iPhone 13 comes out, I'm gonna go get it. Not because my iPhone 12 works any less, not because it's any different, any better. It might have a couple of new features, whatever the case may be. But my iPhone 12 works perfect. But I'm gonna go get it, the iPhone 13 anyway, because it's something new. And that's a lot of times what people do in relationships. Instead of like working on shit when shit gets hard and tough, you know what I mean, working through your problems, all that good stuff, people just trade that one thing in for the next new thing. And you know what happens for the next new thing? The same thing that happened with the old thing, because we are the common denominators in our relationships, period. And at the end of the day, like our parents, our grandparents, they used to work on stuff right down to, they didn't, if they had a washer that didn't work, they didn't go out and buy a new washer. They fixed the one that they have because they was happy with it, still washed their clothes, still got their clothes clean, so they fixed it. Today, people will throw out a brand new washer just because it spins a little faster. Now, it didn't get the clothes much cleaner, but it just spins a little faster. And that's why you don't see those long, lengthy relationships anymore, because people just throw away good things because they think that the next thing is going to be better, when in actuality, the next thing, it could be better, but the next thing could be just as bad, if not worse, if you don't put in the work. Because again, the honeymoon phase will go away. And if you allow it.
I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's like, you know, a lot of people in society today, it's acceptable, it's normalized to attach to everything outside of yourself. So when you go into a relationship, wear yourself, you wear all this other stuff. You know what I mean? People have heartbeats that you have to pay attention to. People have, you know, they need certain things or whatever. And it's just kind of like, and just me being me, like, again, like, I am not a surface person. I'm below the surface. You know what I mean? I'm intricate, I'm layered. So a lot of the qualities or whatever that I need or whatever are far-fetched because of how society people are so far gone from any knowledge of from problems and issues that they should face so they can have a sense of freedom and more self-love and all that other stuff. Now, I feel like because I came out of a lot of that stuff, but I'm still dealing with a lot of, you know, self-knowledge and da-da-da-da-da, I'm going to attract that.
Right.
So just because a beautiful woman is like, you know, having these little boys, that don't mean you need to date her. You know what I'm saying? So you just gotta walk off like that Mary, dropping it down on your buddy. That's what you're doing. I'm just gonna sit in my key. So I have to be aware. Like, being aware is everything. Like you used to say to me all the time. Because I'm big into the conspiracies or whatever, like constantly. Why are you looking at my sponsor used to ask me all the time too? Why are you looking up all this stuff or whatever? Because I want to be aware. I have to be aware. It's like you buy a house in a new neighborhood, you got 3 daughters, and in that neighborhood, there's 16 houses, there's 4 sex offenders. Don't you want to be aware of that? Well, everybody will say yes, but how aware do you want to be of yourself? How aware? And I feel like that's where some people draw the line because of comfort. You know what I'm saying? Which, again, like, I'm not here to say anybody's right or anybody's wrong, but when it comes to what I have to give, how I feel about it, it's a lot. You know what I mean? Like, I have a high respect for myself, and I'm not going to just, and I'm also coming out of, you know, a lot of crap, whatever. Sometimes, you know, and I agree about the getting through things. You have to. You know, if you didn't create the problem by yourself, then, you know, that's when, you feel me? When you're genuine, me and you, there was one point we didn't talk for like 6 months, 5, 6 months. Like that, we were right back to it. Why? Because we're genuine friends. You know what I mean? So if you're in a relationship with a woman and she's your friend, y'all find a way to, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not that difficult to get through because you're friends first. You know what I mean? But when you're operating under that label, your thinking is going to be different. You know, your actions are going to be different. How you communicate, all of it's going to be different. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Sometimes this is of course. Some people are not meant to be together for long term.
What I require is I'm old fashioned as hell compared to today's requirements or whatever.
Right. Well, let me respond to it. But Tara, I would say this though. I would say that things only run their course if you allow them to run their course. You know what I'm saying? Like that, you know, you have control over whether or not something runs its course or not, because you can always keep things fresh. You can keep things new. You know, you can add to the course so that it doesn't run its course. You know what I mean? So that's up to the person. And when you grow, growth should be together. You know what I mean? So no person should ever outgrow the next person, because you guys should be focusing on growing together.
Yeah, I mean, I think what the couples should, you go back to being yourself in the beginning, and then, you know, you have your own course, she has her own course. Y'all should be benefiting in things that you guys do together as a couple, where you're gonna, friends, we need each other. You rely on your friends for certain things. You know what I mean? You can't take one friend and dump everything onto them. You can, but whatever you're getting back. You know what I mean? Which is why you have different relationships with different people, whatever. But if this is your go-to person, this is your ace and all that other stuff, hands down, without a shade of a doubt, it's got to be your best friend, someone you can trust, someone you respect, someone that made you want to write poems, or whatever the case may be. They brought that out of you. You know what I mean? And it's still, it should still be there as time goes on. Now, when stuff like that starts to fade, that's when those conversations need to happen. Where, okay, I'm starting to notice this, or whatever. Now, the other person, I would hope, would want to be receptive enough to sit there and listen. Like, okay, you know what? I'm dropping the ball. I didn't see that. You know what I mean? Are they humble enough? Do they give you that respect? Because sometimes, well, and I'm not saying that they don't respect you. They don't respect you maybe the way that you need it, but when you start writing, well, I'm starting to notice this, and they're like, well, I thought I was doing just fine. Okay. Then why would you, it's like you want to say, well, why was you doing it from the beginning? And then you just stop. So now you're comfortable or some shit. So now you're almost leading me to believe this is who you are, but really you're not. So why did we even just go through any of that? You know what I'm saying? So effective communication and taking people for who they are. You know, because in the beginning, it's tricky. It's very tricky. And I'll tell a woman from the beginning, like, who I am in the beginning is who you're going to get 2 years from now, 6 months from now. Like, do I do everything perfect? Not at all. Not even a little bit. But I try. I'm willing. You know? So there's a lot of, I don't know, things that I feel that are just simple. Yeah, it's not easy, you know what I mean? But a lot of people can overcomplicate simple stuff. And that was actually, I think it was Malcolm X's definition of ignorance. You take something simple and you just complicate it.
Agreed. But still, I think we are the common denominators of every situation that we're in. And I think that in order for us to kind of make change, or in order to make things last, we have to make the put in the efforts in order to make things last. Like I said, anything can be saved. It's just a matter of if you want to save them or not at the end of the day. And some people verbally say they do, but don't really want it. You know what I mean? And some people really want it, but just don't know how to get there. It's a team effort on how to actually get there when you're trying to figure it all out.
It takes work. It doesn't realize worth. You know what I'm saying? Like, if something is worth it, you're willing to do whatever. You know what I mean? And depending on what the issue is in the relationship or whatever, some things you just can't save. But that doesn't mean you can't. That would go back to respect, your self-respect. I understand what your love, like how strong is love to you? You know what I mean? There's a lot of different things there. Which is, you're 1,000 times right. I mean, there's some things that like I'm big on, obviously. You know what I mean? So it's like if a woman wants to go behind my back and then I decide to stay with her, do I want to get in a relationship where I constantly have to guess what you're doing? You know what I mean? So there's things on her end that she would have to get. So if you screw up in a relationship, the same amount of disrespect that you had while you were screwing up, you need that plus more to be perfect. That's an ongoing thing. That's a consistent thing. That's determined. The respect, the selflessness, the sacrifice, the I was wrong, the humility. You know what I'm saying? Because some people will make a mistake and be like, okay, you know what? They're going to do better. They're going to do different for 2 weeks. And then stop and then be like, oh, I don't know why you're tripping. Like, bro, I'm 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? So the pain, a lot of relations, in general, like, I post about myself, peaceful my life is. I'm willing to sacrifice and whatever I need help and whatever things are easy. So you'd have some woman that, I mean, but also it's like I said, like I love hard. I love really nice. Do I expect all of that back? But some of it would be nice. Not saying that I don't get it or whatever. I haven't gotten it, but the consistency behind it, you know what I mean? Yeah, social media does play a major role. And again, like when you know who you are, what you want, being aware of the power, social engineering. And you think about your brain, how much you really think about yourself. When you're getting dressed and posting selfies and stuff like that, like are you following any trends? Like, and be honest with yourself. You know what I mean? So when you really, really know who you are, social media is entertainment. That's just it. You know what I mean? What is it? Sex and lust are huge. You know what I mean? So if a man is dating a woman and she's the type of woman that every time she posts a picture mess this up. No, I'm gonna be a representative. I'm the best reference you got. Go get it. You know what I mean? So at the end of the, like, you gotta know who you are from the beginning. There's always, when the fact is this, it doesn't matter who you date, because there's always gonna be someone who's got one up on them. Period. If you focus on who you're with and you appreciate who you're with, you don't have to look at the what's it called? It's already there. You don't have to focus on that. But what you can focus on is watering your own grass. Telling the kids not to play in a certain spot. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think it's really that hard. I really don't. It doesn't have to be like, and even still, like we had the conversation before. If you know that, like, the kind of person you are, you're aware to the fullest of who you are. When you're in a relationship with someone, let's say you watch porn, let's say